I think what people should appreciate about Darwin, and actually about all the people I write about in this book, is don't think of them as some icon, some gray-bearded, revolutionary, in a dark cloak. These were just people. Darwin was a 22-year-old kid when he boarded the Beagle. He didn't really know what he was doing in life whatsoever. And he had this transforming voyage, 5 years, where he saw the world in a different way. And that's just often the case with explorers, is that they don't necessarily know what they're going to find, but what they find reshapes the way they see things. And I think we should be thinking about Darwin as not as a statue, but as a real person. We get a lot more out of it that way. Darwin's work ranks very high in the whole pantheon of scientists because he addressed the question of life. So the other great minds have addressed the universe, or Earth and time. Darwin addressed life. And particularly this singular work, The Origin of Species, because it drew together so many lines of evidence and was so readable, immediately accessible to the public, to politicians alike, that it had an enormous impact, and it set the agenda for the next 150 years and more of biology. There's been a parade of discoveries in evolutionary biology over the last 150 years, certainly since Darwin. Probably the two most important branches of discoveries have been in the fossil record, reconstructing sort of the chain of links of events in the history of life, and in the DNA record, a wholly independent record of how species have changed and how species are related to each other. So we have this really much bigger foundation than Darwin ever had, but we're not anywhere near done. There's very recent discoveries that tell us there's so much more still to discover about the history of life, about how evolution works, about how ecosystems work. And then there's some other questions lingering that we don't know about. The origin of life on this planet, the origin of life in the universe. Did it happen once? Did it happen many times? How did life get here? So I think these are questions whose answers would really have a profound impact. I think the two main reasons why evolution is not well accepted in the United States is, one, religious opposition that's deep-rooted, particularly among fundamentalists that insist on a literal interpretation of the Bible. And that's a larger percentage of the U.S. population than in most Western countries. The second is just not being exposed to the information. We have not done a thorough and consistent job of teaching evolution in the schools. We've got to do that. And I think over time that will change at least the minds that can be opened.